Welcome to the Halloween Marathon of 2022.
When Ghosts and Goblins was released in 1985, it not only introduced a series that would span decades and introduced a whole generation to the exploits of Arthur the Knight, but it gave us a glimpse into something more, something evil, something so vile, so annoying, so repulsive that it scarred many children back in the day. So naturally, Capcom decided, hey, let's do a series on the Little Red Bastard. So now all the scarred little children could follow the adventures of Firebrand, because why not, let's give him a name, on the go when Gargoyle's Quest was released on the Game Boy. Soon after that, we got a sequel to that title over on the NES. Actually, it was more of a prequel, and Capcom went all out and really came up with a very unique and creative title. Oh, that was a close one. I was beginning to doubt you there, Capcom. Both games offered gameplay that combined side-scrolling action with some RPG-like elements, such as towns and talking to other demons for information and clues. Once the Super NES came out, Capcom decided to continue the Gargoyle's Quest series when they released. That executive would be fed to angry, ravenous sloths soon after revealing that name, and Capcom decided to release the new game in the series titled... I prefer Satanic Boogaloo, but you know, this title, it's pretty cool. The game combined side-scrolling action and an open-world type setting. As Firebrand, you could fly around the map and select what stage you would visit next. There was only one catch. You just couldn't go to any stage. I mean, you could technically, but some of them could not be traversed unless you had the proper stones equipped. The game has you collecting 6 of them. Each one will grant you the ability to change into a different form, granting you new powers and abilities. With this, you could find out which one works in what stage. So, for instance, the Water Stone grants you the power to shift into a water demon. There are also stones allowing you to change to a full flight gargoyle, a strong ground type gargoyle, and ultimately, the strongest form of all. The levels are nicely detailed and offer unique challenges for the specific demon forms. And for some reason, I still find the parts where you have to take to the air for long periods of time particularly tricky. Like in Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Firebrand has a specific jumping technique that you have to get used to fast to master his flying capability, which is somewhat limited. You see, in that game, Arthur had a double jump mechanic you had to use extensively to progress in the levels. While Firebrand has no double jump, he does have the ability to stay afloat. You'll do this by tapping the jump button a second time, allowing him to stick to that altitude and allows you to fly. You can use this to get past tricky parts in the beginning. You also have potions and Crest that will add to your powers or aid you on your quest. There are also shops that are located in various parts of the map in the overworld view. Depending on the crest you use, your firepower will allow you to do different things. The level bosses are varied in forms and quite original in designs, but they are not easy, not by any means. I died a lot of times before getting down their timing and patterns, and even that didn't help sometimes. You can also return to earlier stages to access parts of it using your new demon forms. I love when games do this because it heightens the replayability of it. The password system is also a welcome addition. It is not overly complicated and it doesn't use the entire alphabet or special characters, meaning you're not going to be cycling too long through the letters. A battery backup would have been sweeter, sure, but I understand it was omitted for costs. The title was one that I regrettably overlooked in its initial run. It's a game that for me was a bit on the slow side when you started it, and it was one of the main reasons why I ignored it when I played it a few years ago. So it turns out the little red bastard that I hated for years turned out to be the protagonist to a pretty good game that I enjoyed almost 30 years after it was released. If you grew up playing Capcom games, this title was just another great indicator of what they were capable of doing back in the days of the 8-bit and 16-bit era. Demon's Crest took a different approach from its predecessors. It did away with the overhead view and town portions of the game, and instead gave you a more open world gameplay choice and more action and options when it came to the platforming part of the game. It also raised the replayability value when it introduced multiple demon forms and a user-friendly password system to the mix. The unfortunate thing about finding a great game like this is knowing that it is the last in the franchise. I wonder what Capcom could have done with more power and a new medium under their belt had they decided to continue the franchise. So for graphics, I'm going to give this one a 9. Levels are diverse, nice parallax scrolling on a lot of them. The use of Mode 7, it may seem way archaic when looking at it now, but once upon a time, it was the talk of the 16-bit town. Gameplay gets a 9 as well. The ability to return to levels already completed, various demon forms, and a somewhat simple password system will have you coming back for more. Overall, I'm going to give this one a 9. Great title to introduce you to the Gargoyle franchise and a great game to visit or revisit during the Halloween season. Still a bit confused though as to why it's called Gargoyle's Quest if he's not a gargoyle. Or is he? I guess that's why they went with the name Demon's Crest for this one. Sounds more fitting. Now, join me tomorrow for a PS3 game
just right with evil. Ha 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 ha!